Okay, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cozy Gamer Cast. If you don't know me, my name is Kat, and I'm here with the lovely Jess is Haunted.
Hi.
I feel like we should have you ever seen New Girl? I feel like I've asked you this a million times.
I haven't. I am a bad fall girl because I haven't seen Gilmore Girls and I haven't watched New Girl. I don't know if that's like an autumn kind of show.
How can we be friends? I don't understand. Anyways, the opening theme song is all about Jess, and you should have that as your theme song.
Oh, that's right. Is the main character called Jess or is it another character?
Yeah. The main character is Jess, and the theme song is like it's Jess over and over again. So you really need to watch that show.
I really need to. It's like an autumn show. Can you watch it in fall? It's like a good thing.
Yeah, it's cozy. Like
okay.
It's good vibes, but like it's not like Gilmore Girls that's like very fall vibes.
Oh, like, today I read someone say, like, I don't understand, and I need you to explain this to me. I don't understand how anyone can watch Gilmore Girls over and over again.
I saw this tweet.
You saw that? It was like, how can you watch Lori? Is it Lori?
Lorelai
making bad decisions over and over again.
God. Okay, I'm so sorry, Jack. Producer Jack, just let us talk about this for 1 second. This is very important to me, and this tweet really angered me.
Yeah. I was like, oh, someone's looking for beef with cats. Because like
they were making the argument that like Lorelai was being a brat for fighting against her parents all the time. Yeah. But like her parents are like old rich people wwho are like the biggest of any TV show you'll ever watch. I probably just demonetized our YouTube by saying that, so bleep that, Jack. But it is that angers me because Lorelai, not a perfect human. Rory, probably one of the most annoying characters of all time, but I still love her. But Lorelai's parents are evil people, and I will not take this Lorelai slander anymore.
Okay, so it's not everything just to help her and because they love her. They have issues as well.
They're super manipulative. Like it's yeah. So that's why you have to watch it because it gets you so heated and like. Anyways, everyone watch Gilmore Girls. Fall has started officially. How many days ago? 5 days. 5 days of fall already. So
sure,
it's time.
It doesn't officially start until like middle of September or something like that.
So actually, I think it's different in the UK. I found this out because everyone was saying it was the first day of fall, and I was like, I thought it was at the end of September. And for some reason, in the UK, it's September 1st. So I'm not a liar. I promise.
Okay, so the planet is different in the UK.
Yeah, I don't get it. But I think it's a few other countries too. I don't know which.
Yeah, maybe it's something that has to do with like the weather because it gets colder faster. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Although it's like 31 degrees here today. So
nice.
The planet has not been listening
Wonderful.
to my desire for cozy fall weather. Anyways.
Okay.
Welcome back to the podcast.
It's
what
the
a great
fourth
intro.
episode. Yeah.
We haven't recorded in a while. So if we're really like off track and ranty today, you're welcome. You're going to get extra long tangents from us today.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I know you all love so very much.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we recorded, the podcast was not out yet. So different vibes. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling really good. Like I didn't expect for so many people to like it and listen to it. Like every time someone tells me on my chat or something like that, like, oh, really good podcast, I listened to it or whatever, I love the vibes, and I was like, oh my god, you took time of your day to listen to this thing that we did because we were like, oh, why did we do a podcast? Like, why did we do a silly podcast? And so it's like it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah,
I appreciate it so much.
It's been strange. Like we've been working on it for a while, and so I didn't really know what to expect when it came out. I thought like maybe a few of our like diehard fans would definitely listen and like give us some feedback, but it's been nice to see people like find us through the podcast.
Yeah.
Or the one compliment I really liked, someone said that we were really funny, and I was like,
oh my god,
that's the dream.
Yeah,
that's what I love about podcasts.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh my god, can I be funny?
Imagine
if I'm funny. Who said this to you? Because I didn't read it. I think it was like a comment or something.
I think it might have been a comment. I can't remember. I'm so bad at remembering that stuff. But know that like your comments and feedback mean the world to us. We really love them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been very weird. I think like I just expected the people that would listen were either like people who knew us from other platforms or like super indie game diehards.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that people also like hearing about our lives and our maybe
Right.
funny anecdotes and stuff.
Right. It's been really sweet. I think it made me more excited to like record more episodes and be like, okay, let's do this now. Let's do this seriously. It's not like a silly thing, like a hobby thing or something like that. It feels more like, okay, now it's out. Now we have like a commitment. Now it's nice to think about the next episode and, you know.
Yeah, and we have lots of good ideas coming up. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Woo!
Anyways, let's jump into today's episode. We are stepping away a little bit from thematic and looking more at a type of game today, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But like we do, we're still going to make this existential because both of us are these types of people. But we are going to talk today about games for readers and book lovers, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Bookworms.
And our definition we'll go into a bit more later, I suppose.
Yeah.
But excited today to talk a little bit about story-rich games, which I know we're both huge fans of.
Huge fans of, yeah. It's like everything to me. Give me a good story in a game and it's like I'll never forget it.
Absolutely. So I guess to kick off, we should touch on our assigned games of the last 2 episodes, which I have not played because I am the worst. But Jessica has played, so Jess is gonna let us know what you're thinking so far. And I will provide feedback where I can.
I have played a little bit of Haven.
Mm.
I haven't gone too far into the game, but I have played a little bit of it. It's good. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with it. The worlds feel like you have to jump from planet to planet. Not planet to planet, because they're in the same planet, but like from land to land or island to island. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh.
And they feel a little bit empty so far, but I'm very early into the game, so it's not like something that I would say this is the islands are too empty, because I don't really know how it's gonna be as I progress into the game. But like I said before, I think I mentioned this before. The dialogues are so fun. I really like that it's not just only a survival game, but it's also a fighting game. It's an action game. Like and you kind of have to, if you're playing alone, you have to like synchronize the things that you do with the left hand and the things that you do with the right hand, because you're fighting as both of them at the same time. So
it's like Octodad.
No. It's not like Octodad in the sense of like, oh my god, what do I do with my left arm? No. Because it's like turn-based combat. So it's more like, okay. But the attacks are happening at the same time. So you have to decide quickly if you're gonna let this guy defend or if you're gonna get this guy or girl or whatever attack while the other defends. So you have to do it like really quick because it's like it's the same turn. I imagine because the game is co-op for couples. It's easier that way because it's like, okay, you're gonna defend and I'm gonna attack, and it's kind of like you have to have a little bit of a strategy there of what is gonna be the best movement or the best move for each of you. So I think definitely it'd be more fun to play it as a couple. But
interesting.
Yeah, but so far it's really fun just to play it alone. The characters are really cute and really fun, and it's like I love them. I love them so far.
This is a slight tangent, but I remember when I was younger, whenever I read like a book about like a dystopian world, and when I was like writing and stuff a lot, my brother would always say that it's a ripoff of the movie Jumper. Have you
I haven't watched
that?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's like a random movie with Hayden Christensen in it. It's like a very B movie. It's nothing special. I like it. It's fun, but it's like one of 1,000 dystopian movies out there. But it was like the one that my brother had seen, and he just always said everything was like a ripoff of Jumper. And now I want to make Octodad my version of Jumper for video games, where I just say everything loosely with the control from Octodad, therefore is Octodad.
Yeah, everything with a weird control system is like, just like Octodad. It's like when people say that when there's grass in a game, it's like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, exactly.
The same thing.
Any sort of like sea life, it's like Octodad, like familial relationships, Octodad, everything.
Bemba, like Octodad, which by the way, both of us played Bemba.
Yeah, oh my gosh, we should have made that the assigned game, because Bemba, man, that is a very good romance story, I think, and like it puts you on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
where I hated some characters at the beginning.
Yeah, I hated them too. I was like, I cannot with the father in this family. Like, I can't stand him. And then I ended up being like, no way, crying my eyes out over just like the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh gosh, an incredibly short story too, which is exactly what I want out of a game, especially like, you know, a story-rich game like that. And we'll go into lots today that are like this too. Like when they're just like 2 to 4 hours, it's the perfect amount of time to get me really, really invested.
Yeah.
And have like a really like nice, clean ending. Like everything wraps up in a nice way. It's like, you know, like 2 movies or.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
No, Venba is really good. I'd recommend that to anyone. Like the cooking gameplay, there's not much, to be honest.
No, there's not much of it. It's more story than it is like the cooking part.
For sure. I thought there was going to be more gameplay, to be honest, but I'm glad that it didn't. I think it works better as a narrative,
as a narrative
visual
game,
novel.
for sure, for sure. And the bits where you do have to cook, absolutely amazing soundtrack. Like, I was so surprised by the music.
The music was so good, and the sound design.
The sound design, the things, the ingredients frying. Oh my god, the noise, the sounds were so good.
Really, really good. I'd highly recommend it if you guys haven't picked up Venba yet. Definitely go out and support the devs too, because small team, but they did a great job.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
And then the other game that we needed to talk about was Dredge.
Yes.
You have played a little bit of Dredge.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not hooked by it. I think that might be the problem, but I've also not been playing a lot of games lately.
Yeah.
So that's another problem, but.
That makes sense because a lot of the game is just like fishing. And
traveling. Which is like my least favorite mechanic in any farming sim.
Yeah, exactly. So fishing. I can see how it can be hard to get hooked on it. So yeah, I can understand 100%. However, I have been playing it like while I'm watching YouTube videos, or like when I'm like listening to true crime things, you know, as I do. I have been also playing Dredge, and I found it like really nice to have like both things happening at the same time, and you know, it makes the experience nicer. I do like it a lot. I didn't think I was gonna like it that much because of the fishing mechanic as well, but it surprises you so much. There are bits where you are not expecting something to happen, and then something wild just happens. Some like sea monster just comes right at you when you're not expecting it, and it doesn't even have to be nighttime. Sometimes it happens during daytime as well. It's really crazy, and the sound design is also very, very good. And you also, while you're fishing, you're kind of hoping that you will find something strange or something weird. And when you do, it's like, oh my god, that is fucked. It's like a fucked version of the normal fish. They're called aberrations. So they're like the same fish, but like mutated into something really ugly. And at the same time, you get to, most of the game is like just doing not side quests, but like doing quests for the characters. And the stories are really creepy and, you know, of like this lonely island. I remember one day I was on Reddit. I don't know why. I don't like Reddit, but at the same time, I think there are some things for which Reddit is really useful. I think I was looking for a game or something like that, and there was something that someone asked it, like, is there a game where you have creepy, lonely island that is just very lonely and it has weird characters like that? And someone recommended this Elysium, I remember. And I feel like Dredge would fall right into that category as well, of like little islands with creepy characters that are acting like everything is fine, but they know that the sea is like really weird and has a lot of monsters and stuff. Like, it gives you this intrigue of like, I don't know what's gonna happen next, which I really like.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna get a lot of Lovecraftian games now because of Dredge. Like, I know of one already coming out probably the end of the year, Edge of Sanity.
Oh,
which is, for clarity, the company I used to work for published that game. So that's just keep that in mind. And that's why I know him. But I would assume we're going to get more of those, which I'm excited about, because I do love the Lovecraftian type of horror and like a survival game set in that kind of thing, which is what Edge of Sanity is. I think more up my alley than Dredge is, just because I like to have, I think, a very specific goal when I play games.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like survival or story-based or puzzle games work a bit better for me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll get even more in that kind of eerie monster stuff going on.
Like you don't know where it's coming from. You know, the depths of the sea, I don't know what it has, and then suddenly you see a horrible monster. It's like, it makes you really, it makes you feel like on edge just being there fishing.
I guess we should jump into the gaming news of the last few weeks. So to start off with games that are coming out or just came out, we had Goodbye Volcano High come out, I think it was last week, if I'm not mistaken, end of August. I haven't played it yet, but it looks so cute, and I've been looking forward to that game.
It has really good reviews so far, I think.
Good. And also, well, what's the other one the one with all the famous voice actors in it? What is it called?
What is it about?
It was like a musical
game. Stray Gods?
Yes, Stray Gods also came out a couple weeks back, didn't it?
Yeah.
Again, another one I haven't played yet, but have been anticipating. So once I get through my backlog, I'm coming for you.
And that's also
a
like
role-playing musical.
Like romantic game as well? It's like, it has
I would expect, yeah. Because the guy is shirtless in all the posters, so I'm assuming he's the main romance, but I don't know.
Make them shirtless, it's a rom-com.
Yeah, and it's stacked with some incredible voice actors, so that's definitely one to look out for if you haven't played it yet. The big one this week is Fae Farm. I'm on my Fae Farm week.
Right.
I've got like 7 videos going out, so
yeah. No, but it's been huge. I've been like seeing content about it everywhere.
Yeah,
they're doing good marketing.
Big. Oh, for sure. And like it's kind of almost, in my mind, Fae Farm is like the Baldur's Gate 3 of the cozy gaming space, because
wouldn't that be Palia?
No, because Fae Farm is like a really big team and a really big dev. And like most of the cozy game space, other than like obviously Animal Crossing, is indie devs, smaller teams.
Okay.
Whereas Fae Farm is like their dev has a big team, but it's also like been working on this for a long time, and it's like the only game that they're developing. So they've been spending like a lot of time on it. It's very well polished, and I've been playing it a bit in early access for a while. And it finally comes out this week. But yeah, it makes me feel like if you make Fae Farm almost the standard for everybody else, it's like almost unfair, because it's like no indie dev is going to be able to put this much work into a farming sim.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is what Baldur's Gate, there was some rhetoric around that when it came out of like, let's not set the standard too high for other RPGs because it's just not realistic.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so Fae Farm is an interesting one for that reason, I think.
But I want to play it, basically, especially because it's multiplayer, and I think I'm not too much into farming normally. But if I can play with friends and stuff like that, I can see myself like really getting into it. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to play with other people yet.
No, not yet. I'm hoping to do something with that this week, because I haven't played any of the multiplayer yet. But I don't really know how it works. I think you might just like go adventure together and
kind of maybe like Stardew Valley, like you have
I think so, yeah.
Together?
I don't know if you have the farm together, but I know you can mine together. So I don't really know how it works in terms of like them on your farm, if they're their own characters, but yeah, it's just like it's quite an ambitious project, and you can definitely tell that they've played a lot of farming sims, because there's just a lot of little things like the auto tool switch and
quality of life things.
Yeah, exactly. So looking forward to playing more of that, and I'm sure everyone else is looking forward to it as well. And I apologize to anyone who follows me who's not into Fae Farm, because it's taken over all my channels.
No, I love it. I feel like I said, I'm not usually into farming simulators, but like with Fae Farm, I've been like, oh, maybe I would like this. I feel like I would like this. So I'm
it's
enjoying
definitely it's one for a farming sim for people who maybe have never played one before or never gotten hooked on one before.
Yeah,
because it's very accessible. It's very well mapped to controller, which is also really good for a farming sim. But yeah, anyways, you'll hear lots more of my opinion on Fae Farm. But big week this week, so exciting.
Big week.
And then the last one is Sea of Stars, which is an RPG that is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still in my backlog. I've downloaded it. I'm ready for a day off so I can play it. But it's really pretty, really, really nice. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm like always on the fence a little when it comes to like RPGs turn-based, which I think it is.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But at the same time, I know that I miss on a lot of good games when I am on the fence about that, because sometimes I have a lot of fun with turn-based as well. So I don't know. I don't know if I should give it a chance. You play it and you let me know.
Yes, I will. Yeah. It's like, it's one of those genres that like there are certain RPGs that are like some of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
And then I just have a hard time with anything else beyond those specific games.
Yeah.
But since playing Final Fantasy 16 and now I am deep in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. Well, Baldur's Gate 3 looks so fun. It's one of those games that I feel like, even if it's turn-based or whatever, it looks really, really fun. Looks like you really have to think through every move.
Exactly. So now I'm starting to think maybe I am a turn-based RPG fan, because like I've said before on the podcast, I do really like Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna try out Sea of Stars, see if maybe other RPGs will stick for me. Maybe I just need to start becoming a turn-based RPG fan.
Yeah, a turn-based RPG streamer.
Yeah.
Very specific.
I remember trying that Ghibli game.
Oh, me too. I remember, what's the name?
Ni no Kuni? Is that?
Ni no Kuni, yeah. And I remember being like, I know that I'm gonna like it because everybody says I'm gonna like it, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I just didn't like the gameplay. I was like, it is beautiful. I get it, but I was just like, gameplay's not quite for me. But maybe I should give it another shot. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was an expensive game. I think I got that one early on in my content creation before I could had a platform to request keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regrets. No, and then there's the other. It happened to me too with. Well, I don't remember the name. The game with the fox that is like Japanese culture inspired, Japanese folklore.
Oh, Okami?
Yeah, Okami.
That's one Jack loves. So
I really liked it, but also the gameplay, the combat, it was like it wasn't for me. I don't know why. It was like I really wanted to like get hooked, but it didn't happen. Yeah, and it's a lot like Zelda. You can see there's a lot of Zelda inspiration in there.
Yeah, I've heard that it's very, very Zelda. I've never played it myself, but yeah, Jack really likes that game.
Yeah. How to stop eating as he's eating the plants. I'm sorry.
Haru.
Oh my god. he found that there's a plant really like high, almost like in the ceiling.
Oh.
And he found out that if he climbs his whole tower, his whole cat tree, he can reach the last little leaves of the plant. And ever since, he's never looked back.
Oh no.
It's like his favorite toy now.
Cheeky boy.
I'm sorry, it really hit little.
Are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
He stopped.
Amazing. Well, maybe the next thing to talk about then is the game news that I've brought today, which is not indie related. I'm so sorry for constantly bringing AAA news, but it's not my fault. The internet goes crazy, and I gotta go with what the internet gives us.
Yeah.
So this week we wanted to talk about the Starfield pronoun debate.
Right. As if it has to be a debate by this point.
It's so dumb, isn't it? Every time all these people just admit that they never went to English class. But if you didn't see, essentially a streamer who, I assume he's like an alt-right streamer, or maybe he's just, I don't know, a homophobe or something. But anyways, he's not someone we would probably ever watch. But there's been a clip like circulating about this guy who essentially has like a meltdown because Starfield asked him to select his pronouns and character customization.
Yeah, and that was like the worst thing that's ever happened to him.
It was like he looked like a baby. He's like, his face is all red. He's getting so angry, ranting about this, and
yeah, like crying, throwing up.
It's just insane. And I didn't watch the whole video. I don't think you did either, right? Because it's painful to watch it.
Yeah,
but
it's
I got the gist.
I understood that he was angry. I was like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, but again, essentially, it's brought up this debate again of people who view pronouns for some reason as a political debate and not something that's just part of the English language.
Yeah.
As something that they should complain about. And now people are threatening to boycott or refund Starfield purchases because they've been asked to select pronouns in the character customization.
I've been, a part of me kind of is glad because it means that these people are just never gonna be able to enjoy a lot of games that are now implementing pronouns. I hope it doesn't really affect their sales. But at the same time, it's like, don't play them. Don't play games ever again. Don't be happy ever again.
It's one of those things that, like...
See where that gets you.
For games like that, even though devs should definitely earn residuals, and we'll see whether or not the strikes will start to help devs get residuals, they don't currently get that. So, like, the devs have been paid, like they don't need the sales to work out anyways. So, like, the boycotting of video games is always kind of funny that way, because it's like, okay, fine, you're just hurting like the big company CEO who gets like a bonus if the sales go well.
Yeah.
But also it's like, we don't want you in our communities anyways, and these games are trying to be more inclusive, to be more appealing to people like around the world. Baldur's Gate has pronouns, has non-binary options. Like, all major games are going to continue to have this. I'm pretty sure Skyrim had like bisexuality and stuff in the game. Like, it's been around.
It's been around for a while. Yeah.
It's just these people want to create this big debate, and they've been fed this very polarizing idea to help essentially what is a conspiracy theory to get like right people elected if they can make people angry enough.
Yeah, it's like a point of discussion, a point of like to make things more, I don't know, fiery.
It's just sad. It's sad to see people get so angry, and it makes our spaces less safe, which is what I'm concerned about. Is like, if this kind of rhetoric happens every time a game tries to be a bit inclusive, what does that mean for like LGBTQIA plus streamers and people of color who are creating content? Like, it's just like all of these knock-on effects it has by creating these polarized debates every time anyone wants something as simple as a pronoun option in a video game.
I also saw a very valid point about, it wasn't the streamer who posted the video, the clip of him being really angry about it. Apparently it was someone else. And there has been a lot of people like retweeting it and like quote retweeting it and stuff like that. And it was like, maybe do not give this guy as much exposure, because it's even, to criticize it, you have to quote retweet the original account. So imagine if it was this guy who posted his original clip. He's getting like a lot more views that way. And probably a lot more followers, and now he's viral, and probably a lot of people now follow him. He's he got relevant or whatever. So it's kind of like it's complicated, because you also want to criticize it and be like, this is not okay, but at the same time it's like, I don't want to give this guy more exposure. I want him to feel like nobody's listening to him and he's screaming like he's an angry man screaming at a cloud. I don't know how, like, what would be the right way to manage that, at least in online spaces. Like, should I give this person the attention, or should I just, like, try to ignore him so that it doesn't get relevant?
It's a tough one. I think, like, that question comes up a lot of, like, how do you discuss these things without creating more of a problem? And Twitter is a nightmare hellscape for this exact reason, because there's no real... What's the good way to go about any of this at the end of the day? Because all these platforms feed off of negativity and creating these echo chambers and stuff. So they're going to... The minute you have an opinion, you're feeding into that algorithm or whatever.
Absolutely. It's like...
And it's a shame, really.
Yeah, and it's not really useful for anyone. It's just like everybody's angry and everybody's screaming and everybody gets retweets and replies. And at the end of the day, it's just a subject that everybody forgets about it. Nothing else happens about it. Yeah.
And like, we're all human, and I think you're allowed to be angry about stuff and talk about it on the internet. Like, we all have that right. I wish that the people who own these sites didn't turn that into what it is, but that's kind of out of our hands. But I think at the end of the day, like, it's an important discussion to have, and I hope we continue to push back on people that are like this.
Definitely.
That feel they have some right over other people's identity, which is just bizarre. But it does beg the question of, like, how do we also make sure that those people on the other side aren't being radicalized into creating these spaces more
Exactly,
unsafe.
exactly. It's a tough one, really.
Yeah. So I hope that the lesson here, though, is for AAAs to continue to provide accessibility and diversity options in video games, because I think it's huge that such a major game continues to not like back down from that, and I'm sure they don't even care about these boycotts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to touch them really. But hopefully we can continue to see good steps forward.
Yeah.
No matter the crybabies out there on the internet.
Yeah.
But that's our 2 cents on the news this week. We're always talking about angry white men.
Yeah.
That's gaming, baby.
Yeah, they make so much noise out there.
And, hopefully this sets the standard for the podcast, too, that no one expects us to stay super quiet on these issues. Because I like talking about them, too, and I feel like the podcast is the right place to do it.
Definitely.
So I don't end up in a Twitter rabbit hole, is essentially...
Yeah, so we don't end up screaming into the void and Twitter.
Exactly. That is it for our news section. So we might move right into our topic for the week, which is games for readers.
Games for bookworms.
I'm very excited about this one because I read a lot of books, and also you've recently been shifting your content towards story-rich games, right?
Yeah, I have. It's something that I want to niche. I want to be a niche.
I love it. What made you pick story-rich games of all the niches out there?
I think I didn't see a lot of people talking about them. I mean, people talk a lot about games in general, and they do reviews of games in general, like the gameplay aspects and they touch a little bit on the story, but the story is never the main thing. And I think, narratively speaking, there are so many aspects of a story that you can talk about, like character, how do you say, a narrative tone, how do you tell the story, if it's like linear, if it's a chronic, I don't know if you say that way in English, if it's linear or if it's not, if it's jumps in times.
Oh, asynchronous.
Yeah. And there are so many aspects of a story that you can analyze, and you can say, you can talk about if it works or if it doesn't work. I don't know, I don't see anyone doing a lot of deep in analysis on that kind of stuff. And I just love doing that with movies, and I love doing that with books as well. So I thought maybe we can do that with games as well. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Especially now that there are so many. It feels like there are more and more narrative-driven games coming out.
Absolutely, and I feel like devs are starting to realize that a game that focuses on story can be quite successful.
Yeah.
On a small indie scale or even on a AAA scale. So
yeah, definitely.
It's a good time to niche down, I think. But yeah, no, that brings us really well into the theme for today, because there's kind of 2 ways to look at this theme. We could either go just for, games that are strictly like visual novels and stuff that feel like books. But I think what we want to talk about today is how story-rich games are brought into the indie space, and how for people who maybe are getting into games for the first time or aren't very focused on gameplay, but more on the story and the narrative of everything, and how those can be really geared towards book lovers and readers.
Yeah, because it's not only okay, this game has a lot of text, but it's also kind of what about this game makes it feel like I'm reading a book, or like I'm reading a story, and I want to know more, and I want to know what happens, and I really relate to this character. Why? Those kind of games are also special, and makes it so that, you feel like you are reading a story.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we start with the obvious then? Just let's dig into some visual novels first and foremost.
Really good visual novels, yeah.
And I think a good one to start with is Coffee Talk.
Coffee Talk is your area of expertise. I haven't played Coffee Talk, but I've always heard good things about it.
Yes, I always find it not funny. Funny's not really the right word, but it's nice when people message me have you ever heard of the game Coffee Talk? And I was like, yes, believe it or not, it's in almost every video I've ever made.
Yeah. You're like, do you have a minute to listen to the word of Coffee Talk?
Yeah, exactly. I do. I feel like a Bible salesman when it comes to Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
Great game. The funny thing is I've never finished Coffee Talk, and for a good reason. Just because I don't want it to end. It's one of those games that I was just like...
Are you serious?
I don't know, I want it to be my comfort game forever, so I only played in very short bursts.
Yeah.
And I just never finished it. I don't even know if it has an end. I assume it does eventually, but it's a very long game also for an indie game. And now there's a sequel, which I'm like, okay, now I actually have to finish the first game so I can play the second one. And I've played the endless coffee mode on it like a million times. But yeah, I've never finished the main narrative. But it's really good. I promise that it's a good reason why I haven't finished it, not because it gets boring or anything.
Yeah, but it's just really funny because it's like I've heard you talk about it so much. I never expected you haven't finished it. It's kind of like when you don't want to fight Ganon in Zelda.
It's exactly like that. I never fought Ganon for like 3 years. This is the person that I am.
No, I feel you 100%. But like Coffee Talk is about is there a main character or are there like short stories about different characters?
So you play the like bartender essentially.
You play the bartender.
It's like a late night coffee shop, so you're technically a barista, but it's definitely vibes of like bartender who talks therapy with their clients, you know?
Okay.
So people will come in throughout the evening and settle down. There's like one main like guest who is writing a story about the people who come into this coffee shop.
Okay.
And so she tells a lot of the story through like her dialogue. I think you can read her articles and things that she's writing throughout to get like more context. But yeah, essentially different characters will come in. It's set in Seattle in an alternate universe in which there are humans, orcs, elves, vampires. It's like fantasy, but still like modern day Seattle, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So there's like a lot of this like extra lore to it, but the actual gameplay is you are reading dialogue, reading the stories of these characters that come in, and they'll have like either little anecdotes or maybe they'll get in a fight with their friend and you're overhearing that discussion. And then occasionally they ask for coffee and you make them a coffee. And that's the entire gameplay. And it's just very good and super cozy, and it does feel exactly like reading a book.
Yeah.
But I think it reminds me kind of Unpacking in that like it tells a story in a way that a video game could only tell it, because you get this extra like visual aspect to it, and the little bits of gameplay make you feel like you're stepping into the room, you know? And obviously books are very immersive, but I think the video game element of this reminds you that there's a place for video games in telling these types of stories, even if they're not video gamey in feeling. But yeah, I think that's the most obvious of the games for readers.
There's some visual novels as well. I've been playing recently. It just came out, Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. Like it literally just came out, and it's also a visual novel that has this element of like making your own tarot cards to read, but it's mostly dialogue, and it's mostly just like the story of this girl who became a witch basically and ascended. Let's say she used to be immortal and ascended and became a witch, and she's been trapped for hundreds of years because of a punishment the leader of her coven gave to her. And you know, it's really fun. I think it has really interesting, very diverse characters. There's also a little bit of a trans story as well in it, which I found very sweet. It's all women. The characters are all women, which I find it's except for the main demon or Behemoth that's helping her. But every character is a woman, and I just find that very refreshing.
Yeah.
It's very how do you say it? I don't think the word would be feminine, but it's like very, I don't know, woman safe. I feel like
right.
Like they have dialogues and things and talk about things that are very relatable for women or feminine experiences or whatever. It's really sweet, and it really hooks you. The story really hooks you. So I'm really enjoying it as a visual novel so far.
I've played the beginning of it. And yeah, I've created a little bit of content around it too, so I've watched that trailer like 100 times now.
Yeah.
But it's I really like the aesthetics of it, and it definitely reminds me of a story from like a lot of the like witchy fantasy books that I've read. So if you're into that, it reminds me kind of the X Hex. If anyone's read that, it's very similar vibe. Or like anything where the main character like has to take a contract with like the devil character, which is like every fantasy romance book. So I don't think there's any romance in Cosmic Wheel, but it's still...
no, there is if you want. You get a lot of options. The game has like different endings, and depending on your choices at the beginning of the game, that is going to shape the way the game plays for you, which is really interesting as well. It's a really interesting aspect of it. They packed so much in such a small game. It's really interesting, but the thing that I wanted to say is that you can flirt with the demon.
Oh, okay, now I'm in.
I mean, he kind of flirts with you. He kind of proposes some indecent activities to you.
Interesting.
And I was like, I might be interested in some of that. Keep in mind that this is a demon with like 3 eyes and like I don't know, like 10 arms or something like that, and it's like a snake kind of creature. He's very handsome, I just have to say.
I just finished watching Doom at Your Service, which is that plot line. It's she falls in love with the devil essentially.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm very in because I've been stuck in that storyline, and she takes a contract with him. Like it's very very that
I need that
storyline.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear there's romance. That's great.
Yeah. He's not the main romantic option. You have other romantic options. It's just funny that he's kind of flirting with you. He's kind of has a crush on you, and I just find it very adorable.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. I suppose other like visual novels that should probably be mentioned. What Comes After is also from the same developers as Coffee Talk. So if you like Coffee Talk and want more of that, that one is set on a train going towards the afterlife. So similar vibes of this kind of like fantasy stuff. If you like those types of books, you'll definitely like What Comes After. It's a bit more slice of life though, in the similar way to Coffee Talk, where at least what I've played, there's no like overarching story. It's like you're just listening into stories of other people, but still very cool. The other ones to mention, Dordogne.
Dordogne.
Beautiful visual novel.
I've never seen it. I've never played it, but I've seen the trailer and stuff, and it looks gorgeous. That game looks beautiful.
It's completely hand painted with watercolors, and it's just
so sweet,
very pretty, and some minimal puzzle gameplay, but for the most part, you're just kind of living through the story of this girl and trying to kind of figure out what's happened to I think it's her mother, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I played it, but set in South France. And beautiful setting, beautiful story, very emotional. You will cry, but a good one for just like a narrative experience for sure. A Space for the Unbound, which I think is also Coffee Talk's developer, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
If there's more gameplay in that than other visual novels for sure, and I don't even know if it would count as visual novel, but very good story, very weird. If you're into the like kind of trippy stuff where they're kind of like in dreams sometimes, there's like maybe a little bit of magic happening, but you're not really sure. That's a good one. It's also a very sweet like coming of age story, which is obviously a very easy trope in books. So those are kind of the 3 main, I think, visual novel-y ones that I wanted to mention. But have you played Doki Doki Literature Club?
I haven't, but I've seen playthroughs of it, and I know it gets weird. Yeah, I think that Doki Doki Literature Club is highly recommended because of a twist. It's you come into the game expecting something very very specific, which is like a dating simulator with a bunch of like high school girls, I think, and Japanese. And then you end up getting something completely different.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's almost like a good reason for readers though. Like if you read books mainly for like exciting plots and twists and turns, maybe something like Doki Doki Literature Club would make sense.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I love a good mystery book. I love
Mm.
true crime. I love all that kind of stuff. And and I think there are also games that kind of fall into that category if you're like that
Yes.
type of reader. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I've been playing a lot of The Return of the Obra Dinn, which is a
Mm.
game about a ship that went missing. Nobody knows what happened to the ship. And then years later it comes back suddenly to the coast.
Ah.
It shows up again, and so this happens like I don't know, in the 1800s, I think, or the
Mm.
1700s. Then you have to go onto the ship. You have to board the ship and kind of explore what happened inside. And you have like a little clock that allows you to see the scene of what happened to this to the bodies before they died, to the people in
Oh.
the ship before they died. And what you have to do is like you have to fill up a journal explaining what happened or what fate befell every single one of these bodies, characters, people that were in the ship and what happened. So there's a lot of mystery behind it, and you get to see like the scenes, the dialogues between the characters, and you have to pay really good attention to the dialogues. You have to pay attention to the way they are dressed, to how they, you know, what they look like, to kind of make connections as to who is who, because you have like a list of all the crew
Mm.
and the passengers and stuff, and then you have to assign a name to every single one of like the characters that you see in the ship. You have to assign the name, what happened to them, and who killed them, or how did they die, basically. So to learn all that,
Ah.
you have to like, it's like a deduction game. You have to
Right.
really pay attention to the dialogue, to the scenes that you're looking at, and so you slowly but surely start filling up the journal with all the
Mm.
information. And I think for people who are like really into mysteries and kind of Sherlock Holmes type of
Mm.
Agatha, I used to like eat up every single Agatha Christie novel when I was young.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, and like if you need something that scratches that part of your brain, of your bookworm brain, definitely it's a good one. And another one that I haven't played but I know that is similar, and I know that a lot of people love, is The Case of the Golden Idol, which came out last year.
Ah.
And it's very similar in that sense of like you have to deduct what happened to this character, and you have to solve a mystery, and there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of like scenes that you have to pay attention to, so it's really good like that.
Cool. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like walking simulators in general.
Yeah, it is like a walking simulator, yeah.
Because like Call of the Sea,
Mm-hmm.
Firewatch, or What Remains of Edith Finch all kind of have that element of eerie mystery that I think if you love reading true crime novels,
Yeah.
or that's what I really loved about Call of the Sea when I play it. And some of that's just because I love a puzzle game. But
Yeah.
Call of the Sea just really had me hooked into the story, and there's like a little bit of weird magic-y stuff happening, and you kind of have to make notes throughout and make sure you have like you're tracking what puzzles you've already done and what things you've
Mm-hmm.
seen. So like it immerses you in the book and puts you in the feet of the person, like literally with a walking simulator.
Yeah.
But also the story just keeps you, I think, the most interested. Like the games wouldn't be as interesting if they didn't have good stories.
Yeah, it puts you in the feed of like the investigator, the detective, you know,
Yeah.
which is such a good like it's such a good main character in books. Like
Mm.
it's always because you are discovering things, you're discovering the plot with
Mm.
them. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you join them in this adventure of discovering what is going on. And I think that's why it works so well in books and in literature in
Mm-hmm.
general, like the trope of the detective or journalist, of the person that is kind of trying to solve this mystery.
Yeah.
And in this case, in the case of games, it really takes it a step further, and it makes you play as them.
Mm.
And you have the elements of puzzles, the elements of like sometimes you have to take notes, because there are so many things that you have to keep track of, that it would be helpful to take notes, at least for example in the Return of the Obra Dinn. It's nice to take notes, to be like, okay, this person killed this person, and this person was the brother of this person,
Mm.
you know, kind of like that. And I think it makes it for a really special experience that you wouldn't get in a book, at least.
Yeah. And once you get into
Yeah.
those types of games, I think readers, you know, you fall down a rabbit hole because there's so many
Yeah,
good ones in that
absolutely, absolutely.
category, you know, like And they're short and very interesting, like beginning, middle, end. So you get a really nice like complete experience from it.
Yeah, it feels very rewarding when you solve the mystery, let's say. When you get to see how the story progresses and how it ended and how it all happened. It reminds me as well for people who like stories or like books that are history based or something like that. Historical novels or stuff like that. The Forgotten City is a game that is gonna definitely be up your alley. Because it has like Forgotten City is a game that started as a mod for Skyrim. So if you've played Skyrim before, it feels a lot like Skyrim. But there's not a lot of combat or stuff like that. I just mean the graphics and stuff. It feels a lot like Skyrim. And the game is about you finding or discovering an old Roman city, an ancient Roman city. And every single one of the characters in the city has turned to a gold statues. So you gotta figure out what happened in that city. And to figure it out, you kind of travel back in time. And it's like a loop game where you have to like leave the same thing over and over again to kind of understand what happened to these characters and why they turned to gold statues. It's really history accurate in a way. Like if you like that period of time and if you like history in general, it definitely makes you feel like you are inside an ancient Roman city with all of the technology that Romans had and the gods that they used to believe in. And, all those elements about Roman politics and how they saw, the justice systems and everything like that. It's really interesting to just step into that world. So if you like history-based or historical novels, it's a really good option as well.
Huh. Yeah, I feel like there's a couple games like there that just like remind me of types of books that I've read and enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like I always recommend this one, but if you like a Space Odyssey type game, I Was a Teenage Exocolonist is very, very good. Slight disclaimer that I was sponsored by them once back a while ago though, so I promise this is my real opinion on the game. But it's really good, and it's this like the title kind of suggests, you're like a teenager that's on a colony ship headed to a new planet, and you're part of the kind of founders of this new colony. A lot more gameplay than games I would normally recommend to readers, because there is like a card based gameplay for a lot of the things you have to do on the colony. But it's fairly simple to master, so it's not too complicated or anything, and it's not like RPG or anything. Like it's still a very casual gameplay mechanic, but very rich story, and it has a huge cult following around the game too. Like quite a surprisingly large fan base for an indie game.
And it didn't really, I don't remember it having like a very huge launch, or like people were really like talking a lot about it when it came out. I remember, I feel like you were one of the few people I saw talking about the game when it came out, or maybe I just missed it.
I don't think they focused very heavily on our kind of niche of cozy games in our space. But it has quite a large fan base within people who like these types of games, I think. Because I also have never really heard anyone else talk about it. I think they're doing an update or a DLC or something though, so I've heard some people talk about it lately. But it's one of just my favorite random games I've played, by the same developers as Tunic.
Oh, nice.
So like not a small team by any means, but or I guess same publishers as Tunic, maybe not developers. But it's just a really solid game. It's quite lengthy, like I've never finished it. And you have all these different options and routes you can go. And like it's kind of almost like, what are those books called? Pick Your Own Adventure books,
Yeah.
If you like that kind of thing, because there's a lot of that, of like your decisions will change if you have like more of a like assertive character or some more
depending on your personality.
Yeah, so if you like decision-based stuff, you'll definitely like I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. But also just beautiful and sad. So
sad. We love sad.
I love sad games. What can I say?
Yeah, we're always picking the saddest games ever. I remember I once told a friend of mine asked me like, "Oh, what kind of web page do you have on Instagram about games?" And I was like, "Well, there's a lot of sad games there. So if you want like sad games recommendations, like you can go there if you want."
Yeah, you will be emotional, but
yeah, you will be emotional. It's just like cathartic, let's say.
I suppose in that same kind of theme of like space adventure, would you call Outer Wilds like a good one for readers? Because I haven't played much of it. But...
yeah. Well, it's one of those games that it's not like very dialogue heavy, it's not like very text heavy, but it's like that kind of game that I feel like it's so special and kind of magical that it feels like it's the kind of game that people who appreciate literature and stories in general and the world and the universe they create are gonna appreciate. And it's also like the Forgotten City is also kind of loopy. You have to like go to the same places, quite a few times to understand like the entire story. And the story is beautiful. The ending is absolutely beautiful. The story is so nice, so pretty, so yeah. It's a little bit hard to get used to at the beginning because you have to like learn how to
fly the ship. I couldn't do it.
Pilot the ship.
That's what I stopped playing because
I understand, and it's also really confusing at first because every planet you go to, well, it's basically a game where you have to like go to different planets in one solar system. But the solar system has this bit of like it's going to basically destroy itself in 24 hours or something like that. It's not 24 hours. It's like a specific amount of time it's going to destroy itself. So you have only this little amount of time to explore the planets and explore the whole solar system to understand what happened to the civilization that was there before you. So there are like bits and pieces that they have left, little clues that they have left in every single planet, but the planets are really hostile. So sometimes you're gonna die in a planet out of nowhere because you didn't know that there's gonna be a monster or something there.
Right.
Or sometimes you don't know that the climate or the weather in this planet is actually not good for you, so you're gonna die there. And it plays a lot with physics and stuff like that. But it's a really interesting like mystery. It's really mysterious. It's like it doesn't tell you much. You have to just keep discovering little by little. It's a slow game, but it pays out so well that I think anybody who enjoys a good story is gonna appreciate.
Yeah. No, for sure. I've always heard such good things about it, and I tried to play it, and I was just like, had to throw my head through a wall because of the flying.
The flying takes a lot of getting used to, but once you get that part, it's really good.
I think I need to give it another shot for sure. I think it might be on PS Plus now, so maybe it'd be easier if I just play it console instead of PC.
Yeah, maybe it would be easy. Yeah. Also, now that when you mentioned that Teenage Exocolonist had like this aspect of like depending on your personality the game would play differently, it reminded me a lot of like the ultimate game for readers, Disco Elysium.
yes
Which I haven't finished. I played like about more than a half or maybe half of the game. I couldn't finish it not because I didn't want to, but because I had to make space for my computer. Like I ran out of space and I needed to install something else. So I had to delete it for a moment. But it really hurt deleting it, and I never went back to it. But Disco Elysium is there's so much dialogue in that game.
Yeah, if you guys haven't played Disco Elysium, which I actually haven't played myself, but I've watched my partner, our producer Jack, play it quite a bit. But essentially the entire game is dialogue, from what I understand, of just going around talking to different people. But it's supposed to be one of the best of that genre out there, so...
It's really well written. That's the thing about it. It's really well written. You can tell that it wasn't just a game developer who wrote this game. It was an actual writer. And actually, Jack let us know earlier that it was written by a novelist called Robert Kurvitz, which, you know, he wrote the novel first, and it didn't do well, the novel. So a few years later, like a friend of his convinced him to maybe try to tell the story of Disco Elysium in a game instead of a novel. And the game became a success. It actually, I think, won the award for best written game in the Gaming Awards.
It took over the gaming space by storm. Like, I wasn't really in this space back then, but I've heard that, like, and also, like, from what I understand, the marketing of the game, they did a very, very good job, considering it was like an indie story-based game.
Yeah.
Which is what I usually hear it described as. It's like a very, like a big triumph in indie game marketing as well. But yeah, I think it goes to show that like if you can get the game or a game in general in front of the right people, and it has a really strong backbone of really good writing or a really good story, like you don't need to have this like innovative gameplay or whatever to make a game sell. Like if it's got the right heart and the right intention behind it, it will sell. And I think that's what a lot of people learned from that campaign for sure.
Yeah, it's also like I was mentioning with Teenage Exocolonist. Basically, you decide what kind of personality you have as you know, as you play, because basically you don't only talk to the characters in the game, you also kind of talk to your subconscious or like to your consciousness or to your own mind. And so these different aspects of your personality have different opinions about what the story is telling you or like other characters are telling you. So you kind of decide if you are more theatrical, if you are going to be more dramatic, or if you're going to be more aggressive, if you're going to be more submissive, or if you're going to be like more intellectual. And then all those aspects, depending on what you choose and what you do, are going to like kind of like an RPG, are going to level up different aspects of your personality. Like if you choose to be more aggressive and you kind of up your stats in aggressiveness, then you can kind of intimidate people into doing what you want. You know, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So it's really complex. Like it has a lot of, even if it's just like a novel, even if it's just like a walking simulator, let's say. Well, I don't know if I would call it a walking simulator or novel.
Yeah, does it even
novel.
have a category? It's a hard one to...
It's a hard one to categorize, yeah. Whatever it is. It's very complex in its system, you know? At the same time, the game is kind of like breaks the fourth wall in a way because it makes, like, for example, I remember it talks a lot about politics, by the way. Yeah. So if you're also like into politics and stuff like that, it's a really good game. So it talks a lot about communism and capitalism and stuff. And I remember that back then I used to choose like the more neutral options. Like, not full on communism, of course, not capitalism. Well, I'm just gonna choose something in between or something like that, something in the middle. And then the game made fun of me because of that. The game was like, my own mind said something like, okay, you can't just keep choosing the neutral option, all right? You gotta choose something. You gotta pick a side. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was really fun. Yeah, it's amazing. Just the dialogue surprises you all around, and it's very atmospheric as well. The art is really good. So it pulls you in. Yeah.
One thing we should mention that producer Jack let us know at the beginning of the podcast too. Definitely recommend playing it. The one thing that we've discovered though is that apparently the rights were taken away from the main creator. So maybe don't purchase it at the moment. Maybe wait until that's been resolved or find another option to get the game. Yeah. If you can, maybe rent it, which I've heard is becoming a thing again. Who knew?
How do you rent? Can you rent online games? You can't.
I think that there's some websites starting to pop up of this idea of renting or like stores in major cities of letting you. We're going back to the 90s, everybody. Cable's coming back. We're getting rental stores again.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It would be amazing. I really miss rental stores.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, we don't know the full story about it, but yeah, maybe do some research about what's going on there before you purchase it.
Yeah.
If you don't already own it. But
it's a complicated story, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's a 2.5-hour documentary about it, according to producer Jack. So go watch that first.
Yeah.
But just thought we'd mention it before we all go out and buy it. We put money in the wrong pockets or something.
Absolutely.
But anyways, definitely check out all those games. Good chats today. I think there's a million more, and I'm sure you guys will let us know down in the comments or on Twitter or various social medias about the games that you've loved as readers or as book lovers.
Yeah.
But a good starting place, I think. I hope that, to be honest, we get more books that are like literally about more games that are literally about books, because like
because kind of like the
Tiny Bookshop.
Tiny Bookshop.
Can't wait for that to come out. New Melodic, you are my people. They've made this little game about running a tiny little bookshop in a tiny little van.
So pretty.
And it's so cute. I highly recommend people go wishlist that on Steam and support the devs because they're very nice people. Yeah. But also that game looks great. But I would love, like, give me I don't know, like a simulation game about like being a book editor or something, because I love movies and stuff about that type of character and that setting. I would love that.
Yeah, I don't think I know any game like that.
Yeah, I can't. I
Where you're
was
like an editor or something
trying
like
to
that.
think of some that were like that. And like we have a lot of other simulators, you know? Like we even have passport
Yeah.
control simulator, you know?
Right, right.
Give me edits books or I don't know, like a librarian
Yeah.
or a bookstore owner, like something like that would be great.
Yeah, there's a game that's called Book of Hours. It's also about running a library.
Ah.
But it's like RPG card based. I don't know a lot about it, but I know it is about running a library. I would have to look a little bit more into it to see if it fits our description or what we want.
Yeah.
In that sense. And also, I need to mention, because before talking about What Remains of Edith Finch, I cannot not talk about it and not mention Before Your Eyes.
Oh yeah, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Before Your Eyes is such a pretty game, such a nice little story. It's very short, and it uses your blinking. It uses your camera.
Yes.
And it reads when you blink. That's the gameplay. That's the main gameplay mechanic. Reading when you blink, and that's gonna affect the story basically. Not gonna tell you much more about it because it's a really good surprise to go into the game and not knowing what to expect about the blinking part.
Yeah, and I believe if you have a Quest 2, or I have it on PSVR 2, so I've had it in my backlog, but my PSVR 2's controller broke, so I need to fix that, and then I'm going to play it. But yeah, apparently it's supposed to be an amazing VR experience if you do have.
Oh, it must be so great in VR. I didn't play it in VR, but it must be... It's the perfect game to play in VR.
Yeah, I feel like they they made it with VR in mind, but the technology hadn't quite caught up, and now that the technology has caught up, and like the PSVR 2, I should mention I've been gifted a PSVR 2, so like, keep that in mind when you hear my opinion about it. But they have eye tracking now technology, so yeah, it made so much sense to put Before Your Eyes on it.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to play it once I get my controller.
Yeah. Are there any games that are like that you feel like you're missing and you want to like recommend to people before we wrap up?
No, I think that's good. Like I think if you're starting out with this type of genre, definitely give Coffee Talk or like another visual novel a shot.
Yeah.
And if you're like more of a reader of thrillers or mysteries and stuff like Jess mentioned, get into walking simulators and mystery games, because you're going to be in the right hands there, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have any more that you wanted to mention?
No, that's I think that's enough for people who are like looking for something.
Yeah,
definitely are they gonna find something in this list.
There's a lot.
There's a lot there, for every taste.
So before we wrap up and talk about non-gaming stuff, we should decide on the assigned game of this episode.
Right.
Which we were going back and forth of a hard time deciding earlier.
Yeah. It's hard because I feel like we've played a lot of these games, so...
Yeah. This is the episode that I feel like most of these games we're very passionate. I've played a lot of. So
yeah, exactly. I'm trying to look at my wish list to see if there's something here.
Yeah. Like, I do really want you to play I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, because it's really good.
What if you play a game that I like and I play a game that you like?
Yeah.
In this sense.
I like that idea.
So, for example, you make me play I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, and I make you play The Forgotten City.
Cool, yeah.
How does that sound?
That does sound good, The Forgotten City. And I'd never heard of it before you mentioned it, so... Let's
do that.
We'll trade this time. And then let us know which one you guys are going to pick up in the comments. I guess to finish up, anything fun or interesting that happened to you this week? Or the last few weeks, I guess, since the last time we recorded the podcast?
What happened to me? What happened to me? I don't know, you go first. Let me think about it.
Yeah, what's happened to me? I went to the farmer's market this weekend, and that was really cute. I've also been we've been going to a lot of breweries lately with a couple friends of ours who live in the area. And that is because if you guys aren't up to date on my visa situation, which I think most of you are because I talk about it a lot, but essentially my visa is expiring at the end of the year, so I'm going to be moving back to Canada. So Jack and I are trying to find ways to kind of enjoy London just in case we do have to move away before the end of the year. And I'm a very homebody person. I don't go out a lot.
Yeah.
And I have not been going out a lot, specifically the last few months. So Jack's been trying to find ways to make me go out. And now that we're going to breweries, I'm like, this is the way. Take me to a new brewery every weekend and I will leave the house. Guaranteed.
That's so funny because it reminds me when I first met you. I didn't know you were into beers that much.
Oh God, I forget that I'm into beers until I'm like there, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I love this. This is totally this is where I want to live forever.
We were in Amsterdam, and we went to this. What's the name of this brewery that had like 1,000?
Gosh, what is that place called? Delirium. Yes.
Delirium. It had like hundreds of like different
beers of beers on tap, and like I've got to say, if you're in Europe, I think there might actually be one in the US too. Delirium is in a couple different cities. Yeah. And go. It's always going to be a treat. They have so many beers on tap and they're from all over the world and they're always nice people and you can get like a flight of a bunch of different ones. It's great.
Yeah, the flavors are so different from each other as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's something some don't even feel like beers. Like it's
it's great to take people who I'm like, oh, I don't know if everyone here likes beer. If I take them to Delirium, I know that they'll find something that they like because there's like so many different flavors and lots that don't really taste like beer, and they have ciders and stuff too. So
and I remember I didn't know what to order because I am one of those people that don't like beers really. So I told Kat like, maybe we should order something together. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try one of the they bring you like how do you call it when they bring you like
it's a flight
different ones to taste?
Flight of beers. So
a flight of beers. And so they brought us that, and I am not a big drinker. In fact, I mostly never drink anymore. But back then I was like, okay, let me try this, and one was really fruity and one was like really strong. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I think I drank like 2 or 3 of them. And I was like, well, yeah, I've had enough. I don't think I'm gonna do anymore. And I was like, and Kat immediately was like, oh, no worries, I'll do the rest. And I took the whole thing and just like started drinking all of them. And I was like just in awe watching her. Like, oh, this is really good. And then she ordered another one and I was like, you have... It felt in that moment I felt like you were the most English you've ever been in my eyes.
It's interesting because like obviously living in England, like the drinking culture here is definitely more distinct than back home in Canada, but because I grew up on the West Coast in Vancouver, we have a lot of like microbreweries and stuff. This kind of like craft beer is quite a big thing where we are. And so I do really like craft beer and trying new beers, and I like the atmosphere of like a tiny pub and stuff. Whereas like here in England, it's mainly like English pubs, which is just like a bunch of like either like business people at the end of their day getting drunk after work, or like a bunch of old people.
It's not like crafted beer or anything like that. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not always my vibe, which makes... it's sad because my vibe is going to be kind of pretentious because of that.
It's going to be hipster vibes.
Yeah, it was so sadly. I wish it wasn't, but it is. But yeah, we found like a few of these nice little craft breweries near us in London, and it's made me really happy, and it reminds me of home a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah. It's cute.
Yeah, and I'm definitely too old to drink as much beer as I used to because like now that we're nearing 30, I'm like drink like 2 beers and I'm hungover for like 2 days. So, it's not great, but it's nice to get back into something that I used to actually quite like and I kind of forgot about.
Yeah, and a vibe that you enjoy as well that is not so like the normal pub.
Yeah, and it's like both weekends, like this weekend and the weekend before, we went to farmers markets and then a brewery after, and I'm like, this is the perfect Sunday. It's exactly what I want.
What was the song that you used to sing when we were like drinking and we were like you had to drink the whole thing in one setting? And it was like this song. Yeah, like dun, dun, dun. I don't remember.
Oh. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but would I remember?
Dun, 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 something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think someone else on that Amsterdam trip brought that song.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember it, but yes.
I thought it was you. I was like, okay, this is definitely in my head. Look at how I see you. In my head, it was like, yeah, Kat was the one who brought this song, made me drink.
No, like most of the drinking songs I know are like, I don't even know if I know that many, but there's, I think, like one French one that we used to sing at conferences and stuff when I used to work for this.
Okay.
And now I know a bunch of Korean ones because I suck in K-dramas all the time.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that in Korean dramas they
drink a lot. They
do?
There's a huge drinking culture in Korea for sure. Like soju is so big there, which is now I'm super into soju and beer. Like I don't know what the word is for when you mix soju and beer, but it's very good.
Where do you find it here?
I ordered like a big pack of it on Amazon, but you should be able to get it from like any Asian supermarket, probably.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, look, the song "We Like to Drink with
Thank
Jazz."
You, that's the one. Yeah, I think it's a British song because I've heard it a few. Like that wasn't the only time I've heard it, but yeah, it definitely wasn't. I think it was. Well, I know who it was, but I won't call her out on the podcast.
But it's funny because Jack wasn't there and Jack knew the song, so it's definitely a British song.
Yeah. So I think I know exactly who it was that brought it then. That was a fun trip actually. Like
it was really fun.
If you don't know, Jess and I had never met in real life until we went to TwitchCon Amsterdam with a bunch of our other friends we met online. It was really nice, and that was more than a year ago now.
It's impossible to go to a British university without hearing that song 1,000 times.
That's hilarious.
Everybody who's British now probably knew the song before
immediately.
Immediately. Oh yeah, I know what they're talking about.
That's funny. Yeah, a lot of the people we were with were British, so that makes
it makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, that's my new little fun thing that I actually left the house and got to find a hobby that I used to like.
Yeah, congratulations on leaving the house. I don't know what my thing is. Oh, I started searching for literature contests.
Ooh.
Like writing contests to see if I can apply for some of them and for short stories and short novels and stuff like that. And see whatever happens in there. I don't know I'll just do it for fun.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I really want to get into that way more.
That's a good path for publishing too. Like a lot of people recommend that, to go through contests and stuff to get an agent or a manager or whatever.
Yeah, I think it makes people get to know you or get to know your writing and stuff. So yeah. Also, my therapist recommended it to me. She was like, "Okay, you never let anybody read what you write, so it would be a good idea to do it anonymously, like in a contest or something like that." And it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's very smart.
Yeah. Oh, it was my birthday.
Oh yeah.
Also, I had a birthday. I turned 29. Yeah, 29? I turned 29. 29. I turned 29 after we recorded the last podcast, and it was really fun.
Another reason why you need to watch New Girl, by the way, because that
29
is from that.
29. Yeah. I haven't even watched the 9. No, the 29. Thanks to you. But yeah, now I'm 29. I feel the dread of the 30s coming, just like my way and just creeping up.
You're so old. I will never be that old, ever.
Oh yeah, you would never be that old.
Never.
Just wait until October.
I'm staying 28 forever. I refuse.
And so we streamed. It was really fun. And also... Oh, I met Cozy Games. I met Kennedy. It was really cute as well.
Yeah, that was so cute. That was so random, though. Or did you guys plan that?
It was random. No, absolutely not. I saw that she was here in Barcelona, and I was like, "Hey, welcome to Barcelona. That's so nice that you're here." And she was like, "Hey, are you free? Let's meet." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we met each other. We went for drinks, and it was really cute.
That's so nice. Sweet. Gosh, our queen Kennedy.
Yeah. And she was like posting. I was like, I just saw you post the video before we came here. And she's like, yeah, I have like a bunch of videos like on the backlog to post while I'm here. And I was like, wow. Oh my gosh, she had to work a lot because I think she was she was on vacation for like quite a long time. So it was like, okay, you had to work a lot, like record a lot of videos to have enough content to fill.
Yeah, man.
The weeks that you were not going to be home.
Mad respect.
She works really hard.
Yeah.
And she's really sweet in real life as well.
Aww,
very, very sweet. Yeah,
that's so nice.
And also, last night I was streaming this game called Body Simulator 1984, and it's really text-based as well. So if anybody is also keeps looking for something to play that is like a lot of words, you kind of befriend a bot on your computer. It kind of has that element of like text-based adventures. The games, the games that used to be like that before, the original games, the first games that came out used to be only text, and you made decisions like, oh, do you want to go right or you want to go left?
Right.
You went left, and then you see a house, and in the house there's like this key. You pick up the key. Yes, pick up the key. That kind of
right.
story. Well, it's a little bit like that. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, it's also seems fun.
Cool. Good transition, I guess, to wrap it up today and say you should go follow Jess on Twitch. And
thank you.
follow us all on our socials, which will be linked down below in the description. But yeah, catch us on our Twitch streams, or I'm also streaming on YouTube now if you want to hang out there.
Oh yeah, very fun YouTube streams.
Yeah. We've been premiering the podcast.
The podcast as well. Yeah, let's do that with this one.
I think we should keep doing it. It's really good. So if you want to come hang out with us and listen right as the podcast episode goes live, make sure you're following me on YouTube. Unfortunately, one day we'll get our own YouTube channel. It's just for now so that we can monetize.
Yeah.
But follow me, Cozy Gamer Cat, on YouTube where we post the podcast. And we'll see you in the comments, and leave a review, rate the podcast. That means the world to us, and I appreciate so much people have already done it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Thank you so much. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Cozy Gamercast.
Yes.
If you want to leave us a comment or anything like that, we're there as well.
Yes.
We'll read you.
Exactly. And we do have an email for anything you want to let us know. Feel free to email us. If you have a question or like a topic you'd like us to bring up on the stream, email is probably the easiest way, because then we can read it live or whatever, and all that good stuff. It's cozygamercast@gmail.com.
Yep.
That's it for us today. Look at us actually wrapping up in a normal way.
Well, look at us. We're not gonna deviate from
no more
wrapping up. No more.
No more tangents. No more.
Oh, you know that no, I'm just kidding.
Imagine. We will see you guys in the next episode. Again, let us know if you have any ideas and anything you'd like to see. But other than that, thank you so much, Jess. Thank you, Producer Jack.
Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you, Jack.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.